What if I told you, in a single flash, an entire city vanished? Not in a movie, not in fiction, but in real life. August 6, 1945, a bright summer morning in Japan. Children were walking to school, mothers were preparing breakfast, fathers were heading to work, and then the sky exploded. This is not just a war story. This is a story of humanity, survival, and the moment the world stepped into the nuclear age. Before the world ever heard the word Hiroshima, it was just a peaceful city. Located in southern Japan, Hiroshima was home to over 350,000 people. It was a city of rivers, bridges, and quiet neighborhoods. Street vendors sold fresh food. Children laughed in schoolyards. Families lived simple, hopeful lives. But far across the ocean, something terrifying was being built. In secret laboratories in the United States, scientists were racing against time. They called it the Manhattan Project. The goal? To create the most powerful weapon the world had ever seen. A weapon so destructive it could end the war in one strike. And behind closed doors, leaders debated, should this weapon ever be used? Or would it change humanity forever? But no one in Hiroshima knew they were about to become the center of history's most terrifying experiment. By mid-1945, World War II was nearing its end. Germany had surrendered, but Japan refused to give up. The war in the Pacific was brutal. Every island battle cost thousands of lives. American leaders feared that invading Japan would lead to millions of deaths. So a decision was made. President Harry Truman was presented with a choice: continue the war or use the atomic bomb. It wasn't an easy decision. Some believed it would save lives in the long run. Others feared it would open a door that could never be closed. In the end, the order was given. The target? Hiroshima. One plane, one bomb, one moment that would change the world forever. It was 8:15 in the morning. The sky over Hiroshima was clear. People were just starting their day. High above the city, a B-29 bomber named Enola Gay flew silently. Inside was a bomb unlike anything ever created. They called it Little Boy. At exactly 8:15 a.m., the bomb was released. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, a flash brighter than the sun. A fireball erupted. Temperatures reached millions of degrees. Buildings turned to dust. People vanished instantly. A shockwave tore through the city at over 600 miles per hour. Within seconds, Hiroshima was gone. In less than a minute, tens of thousands of lives were erased. What remained was silence, then screams. Survivors wandered through burning streets, skin burned, clothes gone, eyes filled with shock. People searched for loved ones, but nothing looked familiar anymore. The city was unrecognizable. Rivers filled with people trying to escape the fire. Many never made it. Black rain began to fall, a radioactive rain, carrying death in every drop. By the end of the day, over 70,000 people were dead, and thousands more would die slowly in the days to come, from burns, injuries, and radiation sickness. But the world didn't stop, because just 3 days later, it would happen again. After Hiroshima, the world was in shock. Japan was devastated, but still undecided. Some leaders wanted to surrender. Others believed they could still fight. Meanwhile, the United States prepared another bomb, a second chance to force surrender, or a second tragedy. Time was running out, and history was about to repeat itself. 3 days. That's all it took for humanity to cross a line twice.
August 9th, 1945. Another morning, another city. Nagasaki. Unlike Hiroshima, Nagasaki was surrounded by mountains. It was quieter, smaller, but full of life. Church bells rang softly. Families prepared for the day. And once again, a plane approached from the sky. This time, carrying a bomb called Fat Man. Clouds covered the original target, so the mission changed. Nagasaki became the target. At 11:02 a.m., the second atomic bomb was dropped.
2 cities, 2 bombs, but the real story of survival, pain, and the end of war is just beginning. 2 bombs, 2 cities, but the real question is, did it end the war, or did it begin a new kind of fear for humanity? At 11:02 a.m., the sky above Nagasaki turned white. A blinding flash. Then, destruction. The bomb exploded with unimaginable force. But Nagasaki was different from Hiroshima. The mountains around the city actually reduced some of the blast. Yet still, the destruction was overwhelming. Entire neighborhoods disappeared. Factories were crushed. Homes turned into ashes. People burned in seconds. The heat was so intense it melted steel and erased shadows into walls. In an instant, over 40,000 people were killed. And just like Hiroshima, many more would suffer in silence for years. But the most painful part was not the explosion, it was what came after.
Survivors, later called hibakusha, they lived through hell. Burns that never healed, hair falling out, skin peeling away, children crying for parents who would never return, parents searching for children in a city that no longer existed. Radiation sickness slowly destroyed their bodies. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still the suffering continued. Some people looked fine at first, but then suddenly collapsed. No one understood what was happening because the world had never seen anything like this before. This was not just a bomb. This was invisible death.
And while Japan suffered, the world was watching in fear.
After Nagasaki, everything changed. Japan could no longer continue the war. The destruction was too great, the fear too real. For the first time in history, an emperor spoke directly to his people. Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender. His voice was calm but heavy with emotion. He said the war must end to save humanity from complete destruction. On August 15, 1945, World War II finally came to an end. Across the world, people celebrated. In the United States, crowds filled the streets. Victory had come. But at what cost? Victory, for some. But for others, a lifetime of pain had just begun. The atomic bomb didn't just end a war. It changed the world forever. Nations realized that humanity now had the power to destroy itself. The nuclear age had begun. Soon, more countries developed nuclear weapons. The Cold War followed, a constant fear that another bomb could fall at any moment. Hiroshima and Nagasaki became symbols, not just of destruction, but of warning, a reminder of what happens when power goes too far. But even in darkness, there is something powerful: hope. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are peaceful cities again. Children laugh.
Families live normal lives, but the memory remains. Every year, people gather to remember, to honor the lives lost, to pray that it never happens again. The survivors shared their stories with the world, not for sympathy, but as a warning, so future generations would never repeat the same mistake. Because this story is not just about the past, it's about our future. In America, the atomic bomb is often seen as the moment that ended the war, a decision that saved lives. But in Japan, it is remembered as a tragedy beyond words. Two perspectives, one history. And somewhere in between lies the truth. A truth that reminds us war has consequences, power has responsibility, and humanity must always choose peace over destruction, because once the line is crossed, there is no going back.